Welcome to the Ride This Out podcast, where we talk about how to improve your mental health and strengthen your connection to nature and your community, all through one simple solution: the bicycle. My name is Zach Golding, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and mental health therapist. I'll be your host as we discuss the power of pedaling. All right, welcome into this week's session. I talk with Alice Johnson. One morning I was on my way to work. I was an hour later than when I'm usually riding to work, and I ride along this dedicated path, this dedicated bike trail to go to work. And as I was riding, I happened upon a group of ladies, and it looked very coordinated, and got talking with them, got talking to the leader of the group, which was Alice. And you'll hear a little bit more about how we met and that story. But whether you believe in destiny, coincidence, good fortune, karma, tender mercies, whatever you want to call it, our paths literally crossed that morning, which I'm grateful for. And she was willing to agree to talk with me on this podcast because I just thought it was so inspiring just by talking to her for a few minutes as we were riding together. So, I think the universe helped connect us in a way that this story can be shared. This story can be inspiring to someone else out there who maybe has gone through similar things that she has. So if after you listen to this, you think of somebody who might need to hear this, who maybe they've gone through similar things, or they would be inspired by hearing her story, please share it with them. Share it with others. It's really awesome to hear the power and the enthusiasm that she carries with her and inspiring other people. So enjoy this week's session with Alice. Okay, thanks so much, Alice, for joining me on the podcast. I just wanted to start off by having you introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and how you got into biking.
Oh, thank you so much. I would love to share anything about biking, about my life. I'm so thankful that I met you on the Murdoch Canal Trail yesterday. And he's riding to work in the rain, you guys. And we're also riding in the rain. And it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. I um I am Allie Johnson, and I am 66 years old. And specifically, I think what he wants me to talk about, of course, is our biking babes. So um, I have been a widow for 16 years, and I do love life. I think it's important. I think it's important to love life. If you're not loving it, adjust to what makes you happy. And so I started Biking Babes 9 years ago to get outdoors because I heard so many women saying, I'm lonely. I have no purpose anymore. My kids are all grown. Um, I haven't ridden a bike in 20 years, or I need a sisterhood. I don't have one. There are all kinds of reasons why women come to ride with us, but it was all about enjoying life and feeling alive again. So that's kind of what I do now as a profession. I don't know if you want to know any of that, but
Sure. Yeah.
um, oh,
What do you do professionally?
so I've had so many professions, but all in product developing. So I am a product developer. So from the conception of an idea to when you buy it on the shelf, those are all some of the things I've done, whether it be marketing or owning my own business or developing product. Um, then I just really enjoy doing what makes me feel alive, like I said. And I love to celebrate my wings. So after I kind of had retired from 5 different businesses that I'd worked through 35 years, and then my husband passed away and rocked my world. Absolutely rocked my world. I adored him. We were living life full speed. Some people considered us a power couple, but we just were us and loved who we were. So I started a foundation at UVU called Celebrate Your Wings. Or it's actually, that's the name of the book I'm writing, but the foundation is called Start Something Beautiful, and try to encourage women to start whatever they thought was beautiful. So either they came back to school, they started a business, they did a community project, and we raised money for buildings there and also for a lot of scholarships for women. So I did that for many years and then left it there and tried to retire again. I know. There's so much to do in the world. There's just so much to do in the world. I have a long list of things I still want to do, but then I was asked by a law firm to come and do some interior decorating for their building, and I've been doing that for the last 2 years. In that interim, in between that, I served a 5-year mission for my church, the LDS Church, and um, I've been a buyer. I've been all kinds of things. I love doing news. So that's why I think I have a variety of occupations, but in the same kind of the same industry. So that's where I'm at right now. My Biking Babes, though, is grown to be a sisterhood. There are 40 women, and the only rules we have is that no babes left behind. We ride as a pack, and no drama. And it, it's upon my invitation. So the women that are there are just, top notch and care about each other. And we ride, serve, and learn. So where we ride, usually we'll stop in and learn something, and we always serve. Like for instance, we were in Hawaii last year, riding the coast of Kauai, and we stopped to serve the monastery there by helping them with a project they needed. And we learned very much about a variety of people and religion and culture, and we really liked that. So we hope when we leave, we've shared with them and they've shared with us.
That's so cool. I think that's, you're not just riding just to ride, but you
Yeah.
have a purpose as well, right?
Well, our group is also a variety of women. We're of different ages, different culture, different religion, different walks of life, but yet together we're all sisters.
That's amazing. So yeah, I happened upon your group as we're like you mentioned, we're going along the Murdoch Trail, and I noticed there's probably, I don't know, 8 or 10 of you kind of riding, and I could tell you were riding as a pack. I could tell there was a group here. So I was asking, the people in the back, hey, what is going on here? What is this? And then they had mentioned what you're doing, and they mentioned you in the front. So of course I zipped to the front and started chatting with you, and I thought it was so beautiful, just the story you were sharing. But so talk to me about how you got into biking, right? You said your husband passed away 16 years ago. Were you
Yeah.
an avid biker then, or like as a kid? Like when did you
Yes.
the
So
love
I
of
never had a car growing up, not even in college. So I rode my bike. I rode my 10 speed everywhere I went. And um, I actually enjoyed it, loved it. I have never been, I could never say that I bicycle for competition because I really have a great reverence for all of those people who do that. Mine is more about a physical exercise, being outdoors. And yes, I have always loved to bicycle. Um, when we got to be older women, which we're not old, we're just getting seasoned, right? I told my kids, you can't call me I'm old until like I'm 90, then that's officially old, right?
Yeah, it's all a frame of mind,
It
right?
totally is. So our group really is a variety of age, from 50 to 75. But what allows us to ride as a pack is the ability to have the e-bike on our side. So some people, they rely on that, and some people don't even turn it on. So whatever kind of workout you want, great. We can do any trail. We travel all over. So we'll do 2 local areas in Utah a month. Then we usually go, like we went to Zion last week. Also rode in the rain. It was above and beyond amazing. And then we'll do a couple of trips out of the country. We're going to Portugal next week or next month. And then we do service. And then we're going to New Zealand. We'll be doing service there in February. So whoever can come and that trip fits them and what they're able to do, then they do. So there's always some way for them to join us. It's not just about the money. It's not just about, you know, so you pick the week you can come and then you come. So 40 women normally leaves us about 12 women each week to ride with. And we arrive together and we unpack our bikes together. I would say 90% of these women didn't know how. Did I lose you?
No, you're here.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
You're good.
90% of these women didn't know how to load their bike on their rack or even put their rack on their car. And
Yeah.
so they would rely on someone else to do that for them. And so half the time they weren't there to do it for them, so they just didn't ride, right? And
Yeah.
so we taught them all that, and they can do it all. And we love having good men in our life. They're so critical to our world, so critical. But if by chance that person's not there to help you, you know how to do it. So that's never an excuse. We taught them how to do it, and they show up. And usually we ride in twos, and we get our bikes off the racks. And I was down at the golf course, Sleepy Ridge, down in Orem, and
Uh-huh.
I ran into a friend of my brother's who was now the golf coach for another high school. And he watched us all ride in. So we had about 20 that time. And we all ride into the back of the cars, and everybody rides to the back of their cars and loads them up. And he was standing there in awe. And I saw him over there. So I went over to say hi to him because he's my brother's friend. And he couldn't talk to me. He said, "Wait a minute.
Huh.
I gotta watch this." And they all just rode in, we loaded up, and then we always go to lunch. So I'm really proud of these women that they have taken the initiative to learn something new and show up, right? Show up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard not to show up. I mean, sometimes it is hard to show up. You got things all day long. You might not feel your best. It might be a little bit of a distance to drive to. There's a whole long list of reasons that you can talk yourself out of going. The minute you show up, though, and you have that group or somebody else relying on you, and you start writing, it's like a new light into your heart. You just feel alive, and it is so healthy. It's so healthy. We're done, and we're all happy. We took the time to come, even in the rain. Even in the rain. Yeah.
Well, and I think there's just such a beautiful thing about having something to look forward to as well, right? Having like planning and preparing and knowing that you're going to see, this same group of people or, some different people and meet some new people
Yeah.
and all be there together. There's something very healing and powerful about that too.
You're so right. And where we have a variety of 40 women, you have a new group almost every week. It's like, so really, one week you might come and you might meet 6 new people. And then the next week, oh gosh, there's 6 more new people. And it's so healthy. I know you do this as a profession. I would love to even hear more about it from you, but your podcast each week probably talks very much about this very thing. But I live it and I see it every week firsthand how it affects mental health. And mental health turns into good physical health. And physical health turns into emotional health. I see it firsthand on a ride. We usually ride about 25 to 30 miles every week. And once again, the e bike allows us to ride longer.
Yeah.
So, where somebody dismisses, oh, you're on an e bike, well, sometimes they put their nose up about it. But I always clarify, well, you choose the bike that fits you best, but we chose this because it gets people out. They can go longer, harder, and some of them had just they'd given up riding a bike. Period, right? Or no one gets left behind. Oh, I'll catch up, and you never do. Well, that's not fun, right? Not fun at
Yeah.
all. And so the e-bike has allowed all this beauty in our life. So I see no bad thing about an e-bike. I don't. And so I say, if you need the other bike, buy 2 bikes. right? And use them how you want to use them. That is the privilege of life, is that we get to choose, but never give it
Absolutely.
up just because it's different than someone else's.
Yeah. And I think the e-bike has opened up so many doors as far as, like you say, the more seasoned people around us, right? To
Yep.
be able to enjoy the outdoors and enjoy this social connection and connection to nature by being able to be out and riding around
Yeah.
that way. So it's beautiful.
So true. You rode alongside of me, so you felt our pace.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good pace, but they keep my pace. So if they need to catch up, they have the motor to do that. Or if they're really working hard, they can be on their own without the motor, right? But we all ride together. We all ride together.
So 9 years ago, you started this, right? Like, what did
Yeah.
you? How did biking help with like your grieving process of losing your
Yeah.
husband, and like how did you get into like, hey, I want to share this with other women?
Yeah. That is such a good question, because every year it seems like there's something that helps me grieve. You would think 16 years later I would be 100% triumphant over that, but I still have days where I work on it. I really work on it. Uh, um, he was very much not a half of my soul, but he was. We were intertwined, and when he left, I felt like I left because
Yeah.
we were so intertwined. And something I write about in my book that I'm working on called "Celebrate Your Wings," and it's, of course, in times you're celebrating your wings in times that you feel like it's impossible. That's the real challenge. But
Yeah.
I retired then again after Start Something Beautiful. And I find that I could just really keep busy. I have 10 grandchildren I adore and very involved with them. They all live, around close in this valley, and three beautiful children, and then their in laws. And I could keep busy. I have lots of hobbies, but I wasn't doing anything for myself, right?
Yeah.
But that's unreasonable. That's unbelievable to say, because I do art and I take classes and I am constantly busy. But there was just something that I felt like I was missing. So then I bought one of the very first e-bikes out. And when I got on and got my rack on the back of my car, I hadn't ridden bikes for I think probably 20 years.
Wow.
I put that on the back of my car, and all of a sudden I felt alive again, because I could go anywhere I want. I was outdoors. Oh, so then as I heard my friends say certain things, like I was just mentioning to you, I'm so lonely. Or my husband's here with me, but we don't like to do the same things. Or, like I say, my children are raised. I have no purpose. I heard probably 30 different reasons why people weren't mentally healthy for themselves. They were
Yeah.
always doing for someone else, which is what we do as parents. But it's important also to feed yourself. Otherwise, you're starved. You starve. You starve.
Absolutely.
So I put that bike on and I started riding, and oh my, it was having so much fun. Oh. And then I invited others, and every year it grew, and every year it grew, and now we're 40. And I'm very consistent. Um, they know Tuesday morning we're riding. So if they say, well, I made a dentist appointment, I always say, Tuesday morning is biking day morning. You have to save that. Quit scheduling stuff over it. You have control of that, right? And they'll laugh, and it's like, I'm serious. But and there's so a pattern really is important, because they rely on it. Just much like, Sunday, there's a Sabbath day. You'll go where you're going to go on the Sabbath day. And so Tuesday is our day. And then I really am so happy that other women have been able to join how I feel, because I think it would be extremely lonely just to do it by myself. And we actually learn from each other, we support each other, we love each other. And that for me is good mental health.
Yeah. consistency that you keep it as well, right? If you're
Yeah.
consistent with it and and you keep that consistent time, that consistent schedule, it makes it a lot easier for people
Yeah.
to show up and plan for it. So that's crucial as well.
Oh, even when you hear the weather, oh, it's going to rain tomorrow. Should we ride? Should we not? Yeah, we're riding. Yeah. Lightning and thunder and lightning is the only thing that takes us away.
And that was a storm that we got the other day when
Yeah.
I was riding
Oh,
with you. That came out of
it
nowhere.
was. It was. The week before we rode Zion, and it was twice that storm.
Yeah, wow.
And we still rode it because after we had all the beautiful, I think they call it the petrichor, the smell of the earth and the rain and all the blossoms, and then all the waterfalls in one view of two cliffs. There were 7 waterfalls. And off to the right, there was a big flash flood that came over the other edge that was like Niagara Falls. I'm not kidding you. We've ridden that canyon so many times, and the beauty of sticking out the rain, so worth it. It was beautiful. It was like almost like we were there for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're consistent on that no matter what. Um, and I think that's important because it does get into your pattern of your thought and what you're going to do and your schedule.
So
And
talk to
they
me about
work.
talk to me about these trips that you're going on. I mean, it isn't just like around the block. If you're going to Hawaii and New
Yeah.
Zealand and Portugal,
Yeah.
how did this get started?
Well, remember we have a variety of women.
Yeah.
So that also opens up a variety of possibility. And so our local rides are definite, consistent for those who can ride local. And then um, a little bit further away, like Zion, much of them have homes that we just are able to stay in their homes, right? And then normally, and always actually, once a year, we'll do a service. So, well, we serve all the time, but are out of the country, we felt like it would be fun to spread our wings and learn about other cultures and really like live it for a good week and a half or 2 weeks. So even though Hawaii is, pretty much part of America, it is America,
Right.
they still have a different culture to learn from. And of course, it's really fun. We love that. But our Portugal trip will be very adventurous. And then in February, we go to New Zealand. So we want to serve outside of our own country, and lots of them have that ability. So the thing is, our variety is always including because you can join what you're capable of doing and wanting to do. So that's why we have a wide variety so that no one's left out
Yeah.
ever, ever.
No, and I think that's so cool to, plan and dream big like that too as well. You can do a
Yeah.
lot of things on the local level, but also a lot of the kids that I work with, like we'll have this discussion and I'll just say, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go, right, for a week? And they always say these, extravagant places. And then, but they'll say, oh, I can never get there. And I say, well, why not? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, we
Why
live
not?
in a day and age where it's not too hard to find some good, deals and be able to get there. You don't have to have this travel agent to figure everything out. Like,
No.
you can get there by just, having a plan and
Yeah.
making it. So I think that's so cool that you
And you
guys
you can always
extend
save
yourself that way.
too. It might not be this year, it might not be next, but you save for when you want to go, when you can go.
Yeah.
That dream should never not be. I bought a new bike this year, but it took me a few years to save up for it.
Yeah.
And I had a classic bike because it was one of the first ones, and all these new beautiful models came in every year. All these girls were riding there. They're all buying new e-bikes because none of them had them, right? And
Yeah.
you could see every year that it just got improvement here and there and there. And I was driving the 57 Chevy, trying to keep up with everybody else. But I saved for it. And I think anything really, truly that you really have a desire for, you prepare. And it might not happen right away, but you prepare for it. Save up.
Yeah, and something to look forward to and work towards, right? That give you that
Mhm.
motivation.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
And
curious.
you can always buy used too. I have a
Yeah,
classic
exactly.
bike you could buy for used.
Yeah.
No, I'm keeping her. She's staying in my garage.
What was it? Well, I'm curious what your classic bike was because yeah, you said
I the first bike that really came out was a commuter bike for those people delivering in New York City.
Uh-huh.
which we just did at Christmas. We rode our bikes in Central Park in
Nice.
December. Yeah. And but no, that was a commuter bike for delivery people, men and women. And the deliveries were just triumphant now because they could go twice as fast, right?
Yeah.
And it was, the brand of it is Pedigo, and it was a commuter.
Oh yeah.
It was called a commuter, yeah. So one of the first bikes that came out, and um, now you have so many choices and so many brands and so many options. Holy cow. They've just
Yeah.
really done great job on them. Different price ranges, but back then that was pretty, you had very limited choice. And I
Yeah.
was
Well,
thrilled with it. You're familiar with it?
yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those, and that's like you said, I think that's such a cool thing, and I've talked about this a lot before on this podcast, is how much the e-bike boom has exploded and just
Yeah.
helped so many people get out and enjoy cycling, and just the amount of e-bike sales.
Yes.
It's been amazing. It's been great, and it's getting more people out and moving, but also it's great for cities and towns as they kind of develop more bike paths and more bike infrastructure, which we so desperately need in so many areas. So
Yes.
I feel like there's this new awakening of like, oh yeah, we can ride our bikes for transportation and as a tool. So it's amazing.
It's doing really kind of, if you can, it's really doing your effort on helping the world. But I also have a few people I know that have a little bit of a challenge in either a stroke that they've had, or something that keeps them from being able to push a pedal, and now they're back on their bike again, even if it's a tricycle,
Yeah.
right? So they're outdoor and they're not feeling left out, and they're not feeling like, well, that really hit me hard and now I can't do anything, right? So I see a lot of benefits of it. A lot.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Well, Alice, I appreciate you taking some time. I wanted to ask you just one last question for you. Like, what advice would you give to somebody? And yeah, I mean, you do this all the time. Welcoming new people in your group or whatever. What new advice would you get to somebody who's thinking about getting into biking, or thinking about joining or like starting kind of like a group ride like you've been doing? What would you
Yeah.
tell them? How would they start?
Well, if somebody says, well, I, I have people ask if they can be part of Bike and Babes, but they always have a reason that they can't, even before any more thought. And I just always encourage them, start your own group and make it how you want to make it. It doesn't have to be like mine, and make the group fit what you need, but just make your own group. Yeah, make your own group in whatever it is. Uh, it might be not even biking, but something different. Just start it and make your own. And so I think never talk yourself out of it would be my advice.
Hmm.
Because once you dig in, you realize, yeah, there's a challenge and there's a little bit of orchestration, but it's doable. And once you get into it, you start making it your own recipe, right?
Yeah.
And so never talk yourself out of it. Just do it.
Love that. Yeah, that's beautiful because it's really easy for our natural mindset to take that easy way out and to talk ourselves out of it and just be like, it's not really for me, or that's too much work, or I don't
Yeah.
think. But
Well, there's always a reason, because
yeah,
there really is always a reason. I'm too busy, or I don't have the money for that, or yeah, I'll do that when I'm older. There's just always a reason. But if you just put those aside, um, I after I lost my husband, I went to a life adjustment coach, and I didn't think I needed it, but I was not going forward.
yeah,
I could hardly breathe for a year or more. And I started my foundation at UVU 4 months after he died. So sometimes I just get to the freeway and turn around and go home. Right? I just didn't. And the life adjustment coach gave me this piece of advice that I think applies to absolutely everything in life. He has seen my desk, and I always have piles of stuff that I'm going to get accomplished. He said, I want you to take your arm and I want you to just swipe it off, clear onto the ground. And then I only want you to pick up what you're going to do that very day, or what you want to do, or what you feel like it's important to do. Is it for your heart? Is it for your mind? Is it for your body? And you put it on your desk. That's the only thing you're working on that day. So if somebody's trying to start their own group or their own thing, I would say swoop your desk and then pick up the things that you feel like. Otherwise, you're like, I've got stuff to do. I'm too busy. My leg hurts. I can't do that. My tire's flat. You just talk yourself out of it. But if you just clean that desk off and pick up what you need, you'll find you can do it. You can do it.
It's great. That's great advice. I love that. Well, again, thanks so much, Alice. I appreciate you willing to jump on, meeting some random stranger coming up to you on the bike trail, but it was a fun conversation while we were biking, and even better talking to you now over this. So thank you so much.
Actually, it was the best part of my day. I'm riding along by myself up there and leader of the pack, and all of a sudden this very friendly, kind person rides right up to me and starts a conversation. I loved it. Thank you for being so friendly and interested in what we were doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you as well. And I'm sure we'll run into each other on the trails out and about, but thank you again, Alice. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope we do. Thanks.
Yes.
Have a beautiful day.
All right. Have a great day and safe travels.
You too. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Big thanks again to Allie Johnson. That was a fun conversation. It was great to meet her on the trails. And again, I was so happy that our paths crossed and that this story was able to be shared. So hopefully someone of you can be inspired by it and also share it with others who maybe has gone through a similar thing. But I was inspired by listening to the way that she handles that grief on a day-to-day basis, and how riding her bicycle has helped her cope with the loss of her husband, and also kind of given her new life with riding with her friends and creating memories and creating things to look forward to, and trips and different opportunities to serve. Not just sitting around and feeling sorry for yourself and being sad, but using her strengths and her gifts and helping so many other people out as well, and helping herself out. So pretty remarkable stuff. The bicycle has a great power to inspire and bring us all together in that regard, and she is living proof of that. So again, thank you again, Allie. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate the support. And when you're going through difficult times, when you're faced with that grief, when you're faced with that hardship, difficulties, challenges, the hills of life, right? They come and they go. Some are more intense, some are less intense. It depends on the day. But whatever you're going through, just jump on that bike and ride this out.